Good morning and welcome to Encounter Church Online. My name is Tim. I'm the executive pastor here, and we are just overjoyed that you're worshiping with us or getting ready to worship with us. This is our pre-experience while you're getting your coffee, your tea, your family together, and getting ready to worship and getting all your streams set up. So welcome, good morning. We're excited about what God has in store for us today. Now, it's a rainy morning now, but Friday and Saturday, we had our first annual, if it ends up happening every year, scavenger hunt through the Fulton Heights neighborhood and at home. It was a riot. You can head to our Facebook page if you haven't seen some of the photos and videos. We are still tabulating the results. There was a lot of ways to score points, and we will be announcing the winners soon, but I was super impressed with some of them, especially some of you who did a great job. There was some very awkward rap and poetry readings. There was some amazing ice bucket challenge. I did the ice cube challenge. I misread the instructions, but it was a super fun time, and it was a great way to get to know the Fulton Heights neighborhood. We at Encounter are super excited as we are finishing up the plans to launch our Fulton Heights location this fall at the Mayfair Church building, and this scavenger hunt was a way to get to know that neighborhood even better, be present in the neighborhood, and to have fun with those that we are sheltering in place with. And so we hope you had a great time. If not, and you just need a fun thing to do with your family or friends that you're sheltering with, this isn't, got to keep the social distancing, that list is still there, and it's a riot, a bunch of great ideas for photos and videos to have fun with. So stay tuned. We'll have the winners announced. And this morning, again, if you're just tuning in, welcome to Encounter Church. My name is Tim. Settle in, turn that volume up to 11, and get ready for worship here in just a few minutes. Today is a special day in the life of one young man in our church. It is Pastor Dirk's birthday today. So the birthday boy will be preaching this morning. Happy birthday, Dirk. We are super grateful for you and your leadership in the church. Now, I actually don't know how old he is. Hard to tell. He has a lot of energy, so he's either like 25, I don't know. He just yelled from the other room. I couldn't hear it. So let's do this. Let's make that we'll have two questions this morning in the chat. And Kristen, Dirk's wife, can tell us who's right. You can A, guess how old Dirk is, and B, how many cups of coffee a day does Dirk drink on average? So go ahead and put that in the chat this morning, and happy birthday, Dirk. Also, we did have some rough news, Dirk and I as well, but he's a huge fan of the movie Top Gun, and Top Gun 2 is supposed to come out in June. It's been pushed back to December. The struggle is real. The coronavirus has delayed the release of Top Gun 2. So as well, feel free to send Dirk your favorite Top Gun quote or meme to celebrate his birthday. Dirk, I am glad to be your wingman in ministry, so happy birthday, buddy. This week, we're doing our series, The Waiting Room. It's a timely series as we wrestle with what do we do and how do we respond in periods of waiting. And so this morning, we're going to be talking about what do you do when waiting is forced on you, kind of like the release of Top Gun being delayed. How do we respond? So if that's you, if that's something you're struggling with as we wait in culture for things to get better, as you wait, and maybe it's about a relationship or a job, as you wait, how do we respond? And so if that's you, be prepared to learn and grow and be encouraged this morning. But also if you know someone who's in that situation, send them a text, give them a phone call, encourage them that God has not forgotten them and that maybe this morning is for them, and invite them to join us at Encounter Church Online. And speaking of waiting, first, let me just welcome anyone who just tuned in. Welcome to Encounter Church Online. My name is Tim, and I am super excited to be worshiping with you this morning. But we have another thing as we are talking about waiting and going through this time as we're sheltering at home. And so we have created a survey, and you can go to encounterchurch.org/survey. And many of you who've been around, we do an annual survey. This survey is different. This is really about your emotional and spiritual health as we're in this time of waiting, as we are sheltering in place and dealing with the pandemic. We want to know how you're doing. How are you feeling? How is the church doing in helping you and supporting you? And how are you feeling about maybe when things reopen? So we'd love everyone to go and take this survey. We're going to be talking about it for a little bit. It would help us know and care for you in more accurate ways, in more appropriate ways, in more loving ways, help the church support you and help you support the church as well. So that's encounterchurch.org/survey, and it's really built around how we're doing today as we go through this time. So be sure to hop on over and fill that out. And while you're online navigating and going to Facebook, you can remember to check out the fun photos and videos from the scavenger hunt. The weather was beautiful. The photography and videography were amazing by some of our teams. So be sure to check those out. And while you're there, don't forget to like, follow, and share the stream with everyone. Every little bit helps. It continues to make our presence more public on Facebook. And as a result, we know people who have never been to church before, never been to Encounter before, have wandered in. Kind of like, imagine, we just had the doors open and the music was blaring out of the building and people were popping their heads in to see what all the ruckus was about. That's what's happening on Facebook and on YouTube when you share, when you like, and you comment on the stream. It pushes it out to the world, and people are responding and joining. So be sure to do that, and let's be sure to encourage and welcome everyone in as they join and watch the stream with us. And don't forget to give happy birthday to Dirk on his birthday, the birthday boy, and guess how old he is and how many cups of coffee he drinks in a day. I hope those numbers are not the same, but I'm a little concerned. Anyway, it's going to be a wonderful morning here at Encounter. We are so glad you've joined us. And if you're wondering more about As We Wait, when opening has happened, every Thursday at 5:30, I do an update video. And so we've started talking about our plans for reopening and what's happening and when that's going to happen, and also how this multi-site ministry is going to work with Fulton Heights. So tune in every Thursday or go check the video out after the fact. They're all saved there on YouTube, everything you need to know about what's happening at Encounter. And if you have any questions about anything, you can contact us. You can email me, tim@encounterchurch.org. If you're curious about anything, you can remember that phrase, and you can email curious@encounterchurch.org. If we can help in any way, you can email help@encounterchurch.org, and you can email prayer@encounterchurch.org, and people will be praying for you as soon as you send that email. We love to be the church together, and we want to make it as easy as possible in these times to reach out and know what's going on. So again, welcome, thank you. Turn the volume up, turn the house lights down. If you have colored lights and a haze machine in your living room, it is time to fire them up. Church is going to be starting here in just about 3 minutes. Good morning and welcome.
to Encounter Church Online. Hit us in the chat and let's worship together this morning.
I close my eyes and colors fly. There's no hiding from your grace. I can't deny your heart from mine, and its unrelenting chase. I was on the edge of deception, caught up in my own hesitation, until your love took over me. Whoa. So I let go and I let love show me life like it's supposed to be. An oasis, it awaits us, all the freedom I'll ever need. Now I'm alive. Oh la la, oh la la. When I let go, then I find life. Oh la la, oh la la. When I let go, then I find life. Supposed to be an oasis, here awaits us, all the freedom I'll ever need. Now I'm alive. When I let go, then I find life. When I let go, then I find life.
Good morning and welcome to Encounter Church Online. My name is Kristen and we are so excited to be with you this morning. Now is a great time to invite your friends to join us too. Simply like and share the stream right now. And don't forget to hop in the comments, say hi to a friend, and share what God's been up to in your life this week. We're all in these unusual times together and we're committed to staying connected because here at Encounter, we do life together. If you're in need of assistance, you can email help@encounterchurch.org, or if you'd like prayer, you can email prayer@encounterchurch.org. The ministries at Encounter look quite a bit different today than they did several weeks ago. We are working harder than ever to adapt, and we're so excited about all the new people who are coming each weekend. We would love to have your financial partnership with us as we share the gospel message of hope with all these people. The easiest way to do that is to go to encounterchurch.org/give or text GIVE to 616-312-2205. All right, everybody, it's time to continue worshiping together. So, volume up, lights down, let's go.
I'm gonna wait for the walls to fall, 'cause I know a name that will bring them down. I've got a praise waking within my soul, and I'm not ashamed to declare it now. Light of the world, tremble the darkness. Nothing can stop it. You are the God of the promise. Every word will be accomplished. Nothing can stop it. You are the God of the promise. Prepare the way, the King of glory comes, and before his name, every fear must bow. So throw off your chains, Jesus destroyed them all, and up from the grave, he's with us now. Light of the world, trample the darkness, and nothing can stop it. You are the God of the promise. Every word will be accomplished, and nothing can stop it. You are the God of the promise. The gates of hell will never stand a chance. Your name prevails, Jesus the great I am. No word will fail, no weapon formed against. Your name prevails, Jesus the great I am. The gates of hell will never stand a chance. Your name prevails, Jesus the great I am. No word will fail, no weapon formed against. Your name prevails, Jesus the great I am. Light of the world, trample the darkness. Nothing can stop it. You are the God of the promise. Every word will be accomplished, and nothing can stop it. You are the God of the promise. Oh, you are, you are. You are the God of the promise. Oh.
I've been strong and I've been broken within a moment. I've been faithful and I've been reckless at every bend. I've held everything together and watched it shatter. I've stood tall and I have crumbled in the same breath. I have wrestled and I have trembled towards surrender. Chased my heart adrift and drifted home again. Plundered blessing till I've been desperate to find redemption. Every time I turn around, Lord, you're still there. I was found before I was lost. I was yours before I was not. There's grace to spare for all my mistakes, and that part just wrecks me.
No, I don't deserve this kind of love, but somehow this kind of love is who you are. It's a grace I could never add up to be somebody you still want, but somehow you love me as you find me.
Who am I to think your glory needs my praises? But if this borrowed breath is yours, Lord, take it all. You are faithful and you are gracious, and I'm just grateful. Think you don't need a single thing, still you want my heart. I was found before I was lost. I was yours before I was not. You wear the scars for all my mistakes, and that part just wrecks me.
And I know I don't deserve this kind of love, but somehow this kind of love is who you are. It's a grace I could never add up to be somebody you still want, but somehow you love me as you find me. 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 Your love's too good to leave me here. Your love's too good to leave me here.
Your love's too good to leave me here. Your love's too good to leave me here. If you want my heart, I won't second guess, 'cause I need your love more than anything. I'm in, I'm yours. Your love's too good to leave me here. Your love's too good to leave me. If you want my heart, I won't second guess, 'cause I need your love more than anything. You want my heart, and I won't second guess, 'cause I need your love more than anything. I'm in, I'm yours, your love's too good to leave me here. Your love's too good to leave me.
No, I don't deserve this kind of love, but somehow this kind of love is who you are. It's a grace I could never add up to be somebody you still want, but somehow you love me as you find me. Jesus, we're so grateful for that love. That love that finds us exactly where we are, broken and imperfect, and it makes us whole. It makes us someone that you want to be with, Lord. God, you asked your people for an altar of imperfect stones, and that's what we are. You want your altar built out of imperfection so that your glory can shine more brightly. And that's what we're here to do today, God. We're here to sing hallelujah to your name through our imperfection. We are an altar of broken stones, but you delight in the offering. You have the heavens to call your own, but you abide in the song we sing. 10,000 angels surround your throne to bring you praise that will never cease. But hallelujah from here below is still your favorite melody. We sing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. We sing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. What a wonderful day to come, when every knee bows before your name. But we will not wait until it does. No, for here and now shall your kingdom reign. We sing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. We sing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh, we sing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. We sing hallelujah,
Well, good morning, everybody, to Encounter Church Online. It's good to be worshiping together, isn't it? This morning, I want to start off with an acknowledgement that we are all facing the same storm, but we're experiencing that storm differently, and your story matters. And so what I'd like to do this morning is invite you to a special survey at encounterchurch.org/survey. I want to invite you to that survey because we want to know as staff and church leadership how best we can do life together. What ministries are helping you and effective for you, especially as we prepare to reopen worship, live worship here at church on the weekends. We want to know how we can do that. So again, take a few minutes and visit that link below because we want to know how we can best do life together. The other important announcement I want to make is to say that we're actually posting all of our content around the series at a special website. It's encounterchurch.org/thewaitingroom, which is the name of our brand new series that we're kicking off today. And for the first time ever, we actually have a kids companion that's coming alongside within that. So it's got some fun games and some crafts to do within that companion. It's a quick printout, and the kids can do that while you're worshiping and learning and growing during this time, this message together. We also have small group questions and reflection questions, again, at encounterchurch.org/thewaitingroom, the name of our brand new series. We're kicking it off today where we're talking about what it means to when you're forced to wait, when you refuse to wait, when you're choosing to wait, and then when you're just plain tired of the wait. You see, the idea behind the series is that we live in a world of frozen dinners, instant coffee, and powdered orange juice. And we don't like it, but what we don't like even more is waiting. And so we tolerate it, we put up with it. So this morning we're going to play a fun game. At least it's going to be fun for me watching how this plays out. The name of this fun game is How Patient Are You Really? And these are the rules of the game, is that I'm going to put out a scenario, and I'm going to ask you how long it would take you to respond with some kind of action. And I want you to say it out loud in minutes or seconds for the benefit of those nearby, or you can put it in the comment section below, how long you would wait to respond with some kind of action, whether it's honking your horn, whether it's standing up and walking out, or saying something. All right, so you got the rules of the game. This is the first scenario. You're stuck behind a car that stopped at a green light. How long do you wait? Some researchers asked that question. They found the average wait time is 50 seconds. So this is the big question. How patient are you? Really? Okay, the next scenario is you're in line at Starbucks. How long do you wait? Say it out loud. The researchers found in that scenario that the average wait time is a full 7 minutes. Okay, this is the last one. This is the big finale. It's kind of a dangerous question, but I am going to ask for honesty. The last scenario is how long do you wait for your partner to finish getting ready? Say it out loud. The average wait time is 21 minutes before you say something. How patient are you really? And see, I don't think you're probably all that patient, even those times. And I get it, because I don't like to wait for anything either. So I had this experience a little while ago. I was talking to my dad, and he was sharing a hobby of his back when he was in college and soon after. And he shared he loved taking pictures of photography. And back then it was a very, very mechanical process. As a mechanical camera, you'd load up the film, you kind of like wind it all up, right? You take all your pictures, and then you give them these various chemical baths to develop it, and then to stop it, to finish the work, or maybe to enlarge it. And he was kind of explaining this process. And honestly, I didn't get most of it. What I did get out of it is a very tedious and detailed, painstaking, long process, photography and developing your own film. Now, my generation, of course, we're like the digital cameras. We'll take a picture and they go up in a cloud somewhere. But it's interesting, my 7-year-old started liking to take pictures, but he didn't want to wait on mom and dad to print out the pictures that he was taking with the digital camera. No, he wanted one of these. And some of you know, because they were popular for a while, and then you got to play with them. And so we found one on clearance there and gave it to them for Christmas or birthday or something like that. And it's just like an instant camera, right? Instax. And how it works, you kind of pop out the lens here, and let's see if we got any film in here. All right, and then so you wait for the little light to turn on. I think you got to adjust it to the right setting, and you'd kind of take a picture. And if there was any film, it would go ahead and print out at the top here. And of course, we don't have any of that because we use it all immediately. And that's the point of the instant camera, is that it prints out the picture. So he doesn't have to wait even a few minutes. He has it right there in his hands already. How patient are you in the waiting is what we're going to ask this morning. Actually, more precisely, we're going to ask this simple question, is what should you do when you are forced to wait? It's the question we ask, but we don't ask it alone. It's a question that we ask, and we go to the Bible and we hear these stories of God's people asking some of the same questions that we're asking here today. What do we do when we're stuck? What do we do in the waiting? Is this all just plain wasted time? I don't think it is. And so I invite you to turn to the book of Habakkuk. If you don't know where Habakkuk is, that's fine. Like most people, you may not know where it is. Habakkuk is a minor prophet, which means that he hasn't quite been elevated to the major leagues yet. That's a joke. That's dad humor. You know, it's my birthday today, so I'm going to get away with a few of those. By the way, my son, he said this morning when I was taking his camera, he's like, Dad, even if it prints off a picture, you don't have to pay me back because it's your birthday. And I'm like, I appreciate all that you've done for me. Okay. Habakkuk 1, verse 1. Let's just start it off. And it says, the prophecy that Habakkuk the prophet received. Now, before we even want to share any context on this at all, I just wanted to kind of point out that some of the names mean something. See, typically what you have in the story of God in the Old Testament is that you have the job or the role of a prophet is to speak on behalf of God. And so God would give a word to you, and then you would share that word with some other people. Habakkuk is unique in the biblical landscape because Habakkuk doesn't share a word from God to the people. He does just the opposite of that. He inverts it. He shares a word from the people to God. And so the book of Habakkuk is just 3 chapters long. That's actually why it's called a minor prophet, just because it's very short. Habakkuk sees all this junk that's happening around him, and he speaks to God on behalf of the people. So let's finish it off. And his name Habakkuk, it's a significant name. Names in the Old Testament oftentimes meant a lot of unique things, and it's critical in the role that they played. And so the name Habakkuk means to hug. It means to embrace. Even more than that, it means to like clinch or like hang on to something. The picture that I want you to have is that when I was 15 years old and I'm learning how to drive and I'm barreling along the streets of suburban Jenison in West Michigan, and my mom is in the passenger side seat, and we're barreling along these suburban streets going to blazing 20 miles an hour. But you wouldn't know it by looking at my mom, because she's over there in the passenger side seat, and she's like hanging on for dear life to the armrest and that like flippy down hanging like thing, you know? And she's just white knuckling it all the way. That's a Habakkuk hug. That's what we're calling that. That's when you're clinching onto something, when you're hanging on, when you're white knuckling it. That's Habakkuk. That's what his name means, and that's going to be important when we see the kind of scenario in the world that Habakkuk lived in. So in verse 2, this is what we have. We have him saying up to God, How long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen? Or you cry out to you, violence, but you do not save. Why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrongdoing? Destruction and violence are before me. There is strife and conflict abounds. How long? He's asking that question. He's asking the question that I think maybe a lot of you have asked. I'm looking around and I'm going, I don't understand what all the injustice is for. So in Habakkuk's day, he's looking around and he knew there was a king, a good king that he remembers in his time, a king named Josiah, who became king when he was very, very young, just 8 years old. And he was such a good king, he ruled with integrity and honesty and transparency and most of all, faithfulness to God. But now Habakkuk was looking around and he's going, what happened to that? He's looking around, he's seeing corruption, he's seeing bribery. Specifically, we find out in the book of Habakkuk that what he looked at when he looked around was wealthy landowners who were manipulating the judicial system. And so the only justice that you could get was the justice that you could buy. And he's going, how long do we have to put up with it? I think that's an important question to ask. Earlier on, as many of us hopefully followed some of the Ahmaud Arbery tragedy, and we look around at injustice and we see it unfolding and we ask, how long? God, I'm wondering when you're going to step in and when you're going to do something. God, I wonder how long? And some of you are wondering that right now, how long? God, I wonder. I wonder if there's going to be a job for me to return to when the furlough is done. Or God, I'm a graduating college student, and in the world that I'm graduating into, I wonder if I'm ever going to be able to get a job in my field. I wonder if I'm ever going to get one of those fancy jobs with the benefits, whatever those are. God, I wonder, how long am I going to be stuck waiting here? Some of you are wondering, relationally, how long your marriage can hold up in quarantine times, or if there's going to be something worth saving at the end of it all. God, I wonder. And listen, to anybody wondering, a couple things to say. The first one is that's encouraged. I think one of the tragedies in the Christian faith is that sometimes we forget that God actually wants us. God actually encourages us to wonder these things out loud. In fact, God gave us the entire book of the Psalms, a song book, 150 chapters long. It just highlights all the wonderings of God's people. And God's saying, you don't know what to say? Just go ahead and open a few of these. Go ahead and open Psalm 13. God, how long will you hide your face from me? God's saying, I'm going to give you the words to wonder out loud. And so that's what we're doing. That's the first thing, you can wonder. But the second thing is you wonder, but you don't wander. I love that Habakkuk is saying these things. Remember Habakkuk's name, the definition of his name. It means to hug. It means to embrace. It means to white knuckle it, to clench your fist, to wrap your arms around, to hang on for dear life. And that's what he's doing. He sees the injustice all around him. He wonders how long, but he does it before the presence of God, hanging on to God, Habakkuk hugging on to God. You can wonder. You should wonder. But don't wander off. There's nothing else for you there. Wait on God to provide the answers. And in the waiting, listen to this in chapter 2. In the waiting, he has something for you there too. Listen to how chapter 2 starts. It begins with Habakkuk saying, okay, resolution time. I will stand my watch and station myself on the ramparts. Now, I love that phrase when he says rampart. I had to look it up too. Maybe you don't know. But the ramparts is like the top of a wall. It's important because the ramparts where you could stand on the wall and you could look out and you could see outside of the city. You could see whatever threats or invaders are coming. But you could also turn around on the wall and look down and see within the city to check on the status and to check on the welfare of the city on the other side internally. What Habakkuk does, he stations himself with the best view possible to see what God is up to. I will look to see you, he says. What he'll say to me and what answer I'm to give to this complaint. And then the Lord replied, listen, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it. Write it down. That's important. I know some people that write down all of their prayer requests in a journal. And then when God answers a prayer, they go back and they write down the answered prayers. And what they have at the end of all of that is a compiled book of God's personal faithfulness to them. We say around here that a dull pencil beats a sharp mind in remembering the truths that God tells you. A dull pencil also beats a sharp mind in remembering God's faithfulness throughout your many years that he gives you. Verse 3. There's even more yet. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. That's what we're waiting for. We're waiting on that appointed time, that full time, the ripe time. The Hebrew word that the author here uses, Habakkuk, is the appointed time is the moed time. And it just doesn't mean that there's a time set on a Google calendar somewhere, an appointment that God will keep. The appointed time means when the time is right. The image that I think he's asking you to pull up is a farmer or maybe a vineyard owner who's got grapes growing on the vine, and you'd ask him, when is harvest time? And he wouldn't give you a specific date. He would just say when the grapes are full and ripe and ready. But when is that? Is that going to come? Of course it's going to come. It comes every year, and I can't tell you now. It's still filling, like air filling up a mattress. It's not time yet. Even though he delays, he's not denying. God's delays are not God's denials. I think one of the areas in life where we need to hear that most is in relationships. If you've got a relationship, and I hope you do, with a friend or coworker or somebody who doesn't yet know Jesus, you probably write their name down, and I hope you do, in that prayer journal, and pray for them every single day to come into this saving faith, to come into this purpose-driven knowing of why God made you and who God made you. And you pray for them again and again and again, and you wonder, not wondering now, but you wonder, God, when are you going to bring them into the knowledge of this faith, God? When? And God says it isn't time yet. It isn't moed. It's still filling. I think the next one, relationally, that God gives you is in marriage struggles. And you might have this quarantine time of struggling, worrying. God, how am I going to do this? When are you going to make things better? And he's saying, it's not time yet. It's still filling. And the last one is just, when I talk to some of the single folks around here at Encounter, and many of them, sometimes they just really, really want to be in a relationship, and they would settle for the wrong kind of relationship. rather than waiting on the right one. And you just need to hear God say that your time isn't now yet. Single is still a whole number. If you can't be complete without somebody, you will not find completion with someone. It's not time, it's still filling. The time isn't ripe yet. And you need to hear now, you need to hear that God's time is still coming. That if it's not God's timing, you can't force it. If it is God's time, and when it is God's time, you can't stop it. So encouraging. But he's not done yet. What do? I made them all start with W's to make it a little bit easier for us. When we're forced to wait, what do? We wonder, but we don't wander. When we're forced to wait, we also wait for the fullness of time, the appointed time, the ripe time. And lastly, and this is probably the hardest one, and I'd argue too, it's the most important one, is that we worship through the waiting. Habakkuk is just 3 chapters long, and listen to how he begins the 3rd chapter. It's going to get a little weird. Hang with me here. Chapter 3, verse 1. A prayer of Habakkuk the prophet on Shigionoth. If you're in a Bible, reading the Bible in a year, like a reading program, this is the kind of thing that you just skip over right away. Oh, I don't want to do that this morning. I want to highlight that word that we'd otherwise just skip over because I think it's hugely important. A Shigionoth, we had to look it up. It's a musical term. A Shigionoth is a particular style or genre of music. It isn't a slow love song. No. It's noted. It's marked by the rapid changes to rhythm and time. It's like jazz. It's like hip hop. In his context, a Shigionoth is like a praise and a worship song. It goes quiet. It goes slow. It gets loud. It gets fast. These are songs that they would use to sing and even dance before God. And I think why in the world? He sees no resolution to the things that he is struggling with, to his wonderings before God. He sees no resolution whatsoever, but yet he goes to God in worship, singing and dancing. Listen to some of the very last words of Habakkuk the prophet in verse 17. He writes that though the fig tree does not bud, and there are no grapes on the vines, though the olive crop fails and the fields produce no food, though there are no sheep in the pen and no cattle in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I have not seen his faithfulness executed in my life yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I am still struggling. Anxiety and depression are just right outside and they're creeping in, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I haven't seen the resolution, yet I will rejoice. I will worship in the waiting. Church, I think this is so important because some of your worship in the waiting is going to be some of the most pure worship that you could ever offer God. It's just an observation that I see in my own life, and so I just encourage you to examine your heart to see if it's in there too. Isn't it true that sometimes we mistake and we confuse the what and the who of God? We worship God for what he has done. God, you have been so generous. You have been so kind. You have shown up in so many circumstances. I praise you for what you have done. And God says, don't praise me for what I have done. Praise me for who I am. But I'm telling you, if you praise him before the provision, it will be a pure kind of worship because you have no what to worship him for. You only have the who of God's heart. And God says, that's enough, isn't it? Worship me for who I am, even apart from what I have done or what I will do. I just want to leave you, church, with a picture this week. Earlier on, I opened with that instant camera that I said. But even before that, the mechanical kind of cameras. And some of you have that hobby, don't you, of photography? Well, it strikes me in talking to my dad about his hobby that almost this entire process of developing a roll of film happens in the dark. From the time that the film is loaded into the camera and the photographer would carry it around and one at a time take a picture. one at a time. It's encased in darkness. In fact, if you'd open it up, you'd overexpose the film. And so it's kept hidden. And you give it one chemical bath after another to develop it and to stop it, to hold it or to expand it. It all happens in a dark room. And so maybe your waiting room is a dark room. And if you're looking around and darkness is all around you, know that God has not left you. He is still with you. In fact, He's developing you. And it happens in the dark. Some of the best picture in the history of the world that were developed in the dark. And your life too is developing in the dark. Worship Him in the waiting. Wait on His full appointed time. Wonder, if you need to, out loud, but not wandering. Hanging on, back hugging onto God's neck, especially now in the waiting. Let's pray together. Our gracious God, a lot of us right now, we've got wonderings, spaces and relationships and job curiosities and financial worries that we just don't know about. So God, we're asking you, Spirit, to help us turn those things over to you as we wonder about them out loud, as we write them down in a journal. But God, give us the courage to hang on around your neck, to not wander off on our own, that even though it's in the dark, Lord, you're still developing, you still haven't left us, you're working on us even now, especially now. And I'll pray for somebody that needs to send a note in, to have somebody else pray so that they know. God, give them the courage to reach out, to ask for help, to ask for prayer, to know that we are not doing life alone, but in community. Jesus, you talked a lot about your hour, your time. We know that you're not late. We may be early, but there are no loose threads under your control and your providence. Jesus, we pray all these things in your resurrected name, in your time. Amen.
Can't go back to the beginning. I can't control what tomorrow will bring, but I know here in the middle is the place where you promised to be. Not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? As I walk now through the valley, let your love rise above every fear, like the sun shaping the shadow. In my weakness, your glory appears. unless you come. Will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? Oh, not for a minute was I forsaken. The Lord is in this place. The Lord is in this place. Come, Holy Spirit, dry bones awaken. The Lord is in this place. The Lord is in this place. Not for a minute was I forsaken. The Lord is in this place. The Lord is in this place. Come, Holy Spirit, bright bones awaken. The Lord is in this place. The Lord is in this
Thank you so much for joining us for worship this morning. Make sure you reach out for prayer to our prayer team if you need it, and we'll see you next week.